Hey guys, today I want to take a look at the betting odds for the 2022 midterm. So the chances that each of the parties have in winning the 2022 Senate elections. It's a little bit early, but right now we pretty much have a pretty good idea as to who the candidates are expected to be in these races. So before we look at the odds for the more closer and more watched races, I'm gonna start off it by filling in these states where betting odds aren't even needed. These are just these solid states. There's no way these parties are going to lose any of these races. But all these safe Democratic seats, this gives them 46 seats in the U.S. Senate, the Democratic Party, 46 for the Republican Party, Idaho, Utah, North Dakota, South Dakota. All these states all going to be very solid. Iowa's in this category as well. If Chuck Grassley runs again, there's no doubt that he will win with a very, very solid margin in Iowa. But even if he doesn't, it's Iowa. It's really not going to go blue in 2022. Alabama, South Carolina, Kentucky, and Indiana. So this gives the Republicans 44 safe seats, the Democratic Party 46. So before we get started, make sure you join my Discord server if you have not, the link to which is at the very top of the description below. So I'm going to start off from the state of Alaska. So the state of Alaska right now, the odds in Alaska, the Republican Party has an 87-cent share, the Independents 12, and Democrats at 4. So it's pretty much a shoo-in for the GOP. But the reason why this race is a little bit more controversial is, one, politics in Alaska is a little bit different. That's why you see Independents in second and not the Democratic Party. And furthermore, if you see Lisa Murkowski as the senator running for re-election in Alaska, she's very popular there, but she's not as popular among Republicans in general, especially the Trump wing of the party. So she might face a tough primary, but she was able to win with a writing campaign. She lost the GOP primary in 2010 for her Senate seat in Alaska, but she ran a writing campaign and she won. So Lisa Murkowski is, I think, almost definitely going to win. She might face some pretty strong challenges, but I think she's going to pull it off. And so in the state of Alaska, it's pretty much a solid seat for the Republican Party. Even if Murkowski is not nominated, it's going to be solid red for the Republican Party. So moving on from that, we have the state of Nevada. So in the state of Nevada, you have Catherine Cortez Masto, a Democrat elected first in 2016, running for re-election. There's not really a clear picture as to who the Republican nominee is going to be here, but right now, Democrats have a 2 in 3 chance at winning this seat, so it's pretty solid for them right now. It's going to be closer, but Democrats have shown that they've been able to win races in Nevada for quite a while now. So in the state of Nevada, it's going to be a likely seat for the Democratic Party. I do expect Catherine Cortez Masto to win her re-election in 2022. Following this, we have the state of Arizona. This is the seat held by Mark Kelly. So Mark Kelly, of course, won his first election in 2020, just a couple months ago. He won the special election against Martha McSally, who was appointed to fill the seat, the vacancy left by the late John McCain. So the reason why it's so high here is Mark Kelly. He is a good candidate in Arizona. He's definitely a good candidate. I think he's stronger than Kyrsten Sinema, who also beat Martha McSally. But Mark Kelly, I think he was definitely the stronger candidate. And I think that in Arizona, there's not really too much of a primary going on right now. You don't have that clear of a picture of who the nominee is really going to be. Mark Kelly, I think, definitely one of the strongest Democrats in the country, who performed pretty well in 2020. He did better than Joe Biden by around 3-4% in Arizona. So the state of Arizona, I'm going to put as a lean on this. So so this is going to be a seat where Democrats definitely have the advantage, but it's nowhere near shoo-in for them. They will have to fight for this seat, but right now Mark Kelly definitely has the advantage going into his re-election. So this puts the Democrats up at 48 seats, the Republicans now at 45. And next I want to move on to the state of Florida. So this is the seat held by Marco Rubio. Of course, Marco Rubio ran in the 2016 Republican primary for president. Then he went on to run for re-election in the Senate. He was first elected in 2010. He won his last election in 2016 by around 8% in Florida. And knowing Florida, that is a very strong margin for a Republican in Florida. The state of Florida does typically benefit Republicans. He is also an incumbent. Florida likes incumbents. They also like Republicans more than Democrats typically. So that's why you saw Donald Trump flip it in 2016 and hold on to it in 2020. The Latino population, the Cuban population there, is going more and more conservative, which is why Republicans are doing better and better in Florida. They control the government in Florida. They have both Senate seats and the governorship. So in the state of Florida, it is definitely an advantage for the Republican Party, and Marco Rubio's chances have increased by quite a bit. Marco Rubio is also expected to be running in 2024 for president. I think he definitely have a chance. I don't think he's going to be the clear front runner or anything like that, but I think that he's a pretty notable candidate for 2024 for the Republican Party, but he's definitely going to have to run for re-election in Florida, and I think he can definitely do it. So right now, he has a 79-cent share on predicted, which is pretty solid, but I'm going to actually categorize this as likely. So in Florida, it's going to be a fight for him. He's going to have to do some things. It's not going to be a shoo-in for him, but definitely, I have no doubt that Marco Rubio is going to win re-election in Florida. So moving on, I want to move to the northeast all the way up to the state of New Hampshire. So New Hampshire, I think that's a very, very interesting race occurring in New Hampshire. It's currently held by Democrat Maggie Hassan. So Maggie Hassan is the incumbent running for re-election. She was first elected in 2016 and now served alongside Jeanne Shaheen. But in the state of New Hampshire, they have two Democratic senators. Democrats do win there more. You saw with Joe Biden, Hillary Clinton, Barack Obama. But if you go back long enough, you see George W. Bush was able to win New Hampshire. So it's not some sort of Democratic stronghold. Democrats just typically do better. In 2020, you saw Jeanne Shaheen win with a solid margin, 15%, because really no strong Republican challenger in that race. But 2022 could be very, very different, because in New Hampshire, you have a Republican governor in Chris Sununu. So Chris Sununu, the Republican governor of the state of New Hampshire, he is very, very popular there, and he is definitely the candidate that will frighten the Democrats the most. So definitely Chris Sununu, if you're a Democrat, you do not want him running. He's pretty much the only Republican that can win there. And in 2022, it's going to be wavier for the GOP, and running against Maggie Hassan and not Jeanne Shaheen, I think it's a perfect opportunity for Chris Sununu to run if he really wants to join the Senate. So Democrats do have an edge here, 56-43. Sununu is actually outpolling Maggie Hassan right now by around 2%. But really, that's not important. It's very early, and unless you really launch your campaign, you'll typically be a little bit more popular than you will be, during the election that you're in, which is why you saw Joe Biden, just got less and less popular throughout the Democratic primary. But for Chris Sununu, if he runs for the nomination, he's going to win the Republican nomination. It's really whether or not he can beat Maggie Hassan. Definitely, I think it's going to be a close race there if they both run. I think it's likely that they both run. This is why you see the Republicans have such a high chance at winning a race in a state like New Hampshire. So the state of New Hampshire is going to be leading right now for the Democratic Party. They currently have a 56-cent share in this state, which borders some pretty Democratic areas, but New Hampshire is a little bit different from the states that it borders. So Democrats are now at 49. Of course, they only need 50 because Kamala Harris will still be the Democratic vice president. So 49 right now to the Republicans is 46. I want to next take a look at the state of Wisconsin, take a look at this Rust Belt area, and then move down to the southeast. So in the state of Wisconsin, Ron Johnson is the incumbent Republican. He currently is favored to win re-election, 53-48. But the reason in here why it's not as high for the Republicans is there is a chance that Ron Johnson doesn't run for re-election. He announced in 2016 when he was running for his second term that he would not seek a third term in 2022 when he was trying to win his second term, but he since took those words back, which is why it can be speculated that he may change his mind again. But I think he will probably run, in my opinion, just because I don't see a reason why he wouldn't. He's not that old. His popularity is very average. He's more of a Trump Republican, definitely. But in the state of Wisconsin, Trump didn't lose the state that badly. And as an incumbent senator in a Republican wave year, I think he definitely has a good chance. But still, it's a Democratic state on the presidential level. Democrats have one Senate seat there. They have a Democratic governor. So I think that it's definitely going to be a close race, no matter who it is. But Ron Johnson, I think, gives the Republicans a little bit more of a boost just because he is an incumbent, and incumbents typically do better in Senate races. So it's 53-48, which means that this is going to be a tilt race for the Republicans, so that's going to be tilt. That now gives the GOP 47 seats in the U.S. Senate, Democrats 49. Another seat for the Republicans, no surprises here, the state of Ohio is currently likely. So looking at the Ohio Senate race, 79-21. So the race in Ohio is essentially you have a Republican retiring in Rob Portman. He's the incumbent. He decided that he's not going to run just because of how toxic politics has become and how hard it's been able for them to get things passed in the Senate. So he's decided to not run for another term in 2022. This gave Democrats a little bit of hope, but there's no way Democrats are going to win this. They're not going to win Ohio. They do have one Democratic senator in Ohio, in Sherrod Brown, but they're just not going to win it. There's no way Democrats win in Ohio, unless they have some really sort of extraordinary candidate, and the Republican in Ohio is some rapist. That's not going to happen. So, it's pretty solid for the GOP, but. Yeah, so that's going to give them 48 seats. I don't see Democrats having a chance in Ohio. They're going to try like they did in 2020, like they do in states like Texas. They're going to try everywhere, but they're not going to succeed in Ohio. Moving on to the state of Pennsylvania. This is a seat that Democrats have a surprisingly high chance in. The state of Pennsylvania is 61-40. So the reason why is because the Democrats are nominating John Fetterman. They haven't decided on that, but he is pretty much the shoo-in right now. John Fetterman of Pennsylvania, the lieutenant governor, serving with it's either Tim or Tom Wolf. I don't know if it's Tim or Tom, but basically he's the lieutenant governor, John Fetterman, right now. He's very popular in Pennsylvania. And if he runs, unless something happens like with unless something happens with Cal Cunningham in North Carolina, like we saw in 2020, I really don't see him losing. I think he will do very, very well for John Fetterman, and he will win a Senate seat. So that's going to give the Democrats 50. This is going to be lean. Yeah, surprisingly high chance for Democrats. They have a higher chance of winning Pennsylvania than they do New Hampshire or Arizona. So in the state of Pennsylvania, this gives the Democrats now 50 seats, and we have two more in the southeast. So starting off with the state of North Carolina. North Carolina right now, 63-38. So you had the retiring Richard Burr in the state of North Carolina. He was the Republican incumbent. Democrats are supposedly going to nominate Jeff Jackson. He seems to be the one that's leading right now, has the highest chance of winning that. Nothing too notable about him. Pretty average candidate like Cal Cunningham, before, his scandals were all exposed. But in the Republican primary, this is the one that Laura Trump is running. So Laura Trump right now, she's the one that's interested in this race. 39 cents that she does run in the GOP primary there, which is pretty high. But Laura Trump, again, if you didn't know, she's the one that goes on YouTube and has those ads asking to sign Trump's birthday card. So if you've ever seen any of those, that's her. And she's also the wife of Eric Trump, married into the family. And I think that she definitely has a good chance of winning the primary just because of her connection to Trump. The GOP, basically in every single state, are so loyal to President Trump, but independents, Democrats definitely are not even close. But for Laura Trump, I think that she's going to be a flop of a candidate if she does win the nomination. I think Democrats should hope that she wins the nomination because Laura Trump, she has no chance. She's like Kelly Loeffler in Georgia. She's from the state, she has connections to the state, but she doesn't connect with any people in those states. So for Laura Trump to win, I think it's very, very unlikely. So for Laura Trump, I think that if she's the nominee, I think chances are definitely going to go down. But right now, it's lean. She's not the front runner. I actually forgot who the front runner was. A little bit of a less of a notable candidate, but Laura Trump is in a pretty close second right now for that nomination in North Carolina. And then finally, the final state is the state of Georgia. This is the race between Raphael Warnock and some potential Republicans. So, you have right now the leading Republican is Doug Collins. Doug Collins, of course, ran against Warnock and Loeffler, which is why there was a runoff there. He triggered that runoff, making it a three-way race with two Republicans. But Kelly Loeffler, of course, ended up losing. She has no chance. She's not going to win in 2022. She's not going to win anything ever again in Georgia. She has no chance. She is a complete disappointment to the Republican Party. She lost the Republican Party, the Senate. Her and David Perdue. Those two are not going to go back to the Senate. David Perdue, I think, canceled his plans to run, and Kelly Loeffler has launched some sort of voting initiative like Stacey Abrams, but it's a complete joke. And Kelly Loeffler, really nobody supports her. She really has no dedicated supporters. They just support what she stands for, but whether or not it's her, it really doesn't matter. And with her loss last time, I don't see her having a chance. I think it's going to be Doug Collins. He's the one that came in third because you're running against a Republican incumbent. Of course, the incumbent's probably going to do a little bit better. So in the state of Georgia, Raphael Warnock, he's a pretty good candidate in my opinion. The Reverend. So he has a 54% share right now. Republicans at 47. Not that much of a change over the last couple of weeks. So right now, Raphael Warnock does give the Democrats their 51st seat in the Senate, making it so that they have a true majority in numbers of seats now, 51-49, according to the betting odds at this moment in time. This is a little bit early, but we have some pretty good we have pretty good ideas at some of these matchups for 2022, just who's running against who. But right now, Democrats 51, Republicans 49. Democrats on this map would only be able to flip the state of Pennsylvania. So that's going to be it, but I do also want to finally take a look at the chances just in general of winning the Senate. Democrats 55, Republicans 46. What's interesting is if you look before the January 6th runoffs or 5th runoffs, you will see the Republicans had a very good chance because they were expected as a whole to win those runoffs. If they won those runoffs, David Perdue and Kelly Loeffler, they would be cruising to another victory in 2022. 2022 isn't a great year for the Democratic Party. I mean, they have vulnerabilities in Georgia, in Arizona, New Hampshire, while Republicans, they do typically do better and better in these rustable areas, and they do better in Senate elections. And with the election of Joe Biden, it's expected to be a red wave year. But with those two losses, they gave the Democrats the Senate. Democrats don't have to win anything. They just don't have to lose anything now, which is why it's so much harder for the Republicans to win back the Senate, especially when they have vulnerabilities in Wisconsin, Pennsylvania, both Biden states, as well as in North Carolina, which Trump only won by 1.3%. So right now, the Senate definitely does favor the Democratic Party, 55-46. So thank you guys so much for watching this video. Make sure you like it down below. If you enjoyed it, comment down below which party you think will win and which race you think will be the closest, which races you're interested in watching, and which of these categorizations from the betting odds you think are just completely incorrect. So yeah, leave all those in the comments below. Subscribe to my channel if you have not. Join my Discord server if you haven't. The link to which is the very top of the description below. Again, thank you guys so much for watching this video, and I'll see you guys in the next video.